How do we go about doing
To give to the birthday fund, you can either give money here to Francis or on our website, there's a spot for donating. And that would be under,
Under the About Us, there's a place to donate. Also under Making a Difference. Actually, the quickest and easiest place to find it is under the Making a Difference tab on our website. And then that donate widget is right there at the top.
yes. All right, yep, got the cash box over here, yep.
Some people are still not getting email, the newsletter. I talked to a friend today, and she said people need to find it.
Thank you very much, Barb. So if your email has changed or you're not getting the newsletter, so you should be getting it digital. Really nice, it has pictures and much more extensive in color and everything that we had before. So the best way to do that is you sign up here, put your email on there, we'll transfer that, get that to our main list. So
Can they do it on the website here too? They're not here tonight.
Candace,
Yes, they can on the About Us page. It lists our go down to find the little widget that says invites them to subscribe to the email.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'll pass them on.
yes, yeah. And then another thing too, sometimes MailChimp to distribute things, depending on your personal computer and your personal email settings, sometimes the email from us will get put into spam or junk mail, or in my thing, it goes into what's called a promotion. You know, so somehow it affects that it might be, you know, a promotion about a sale or an event or something. So it always shows up in my promotions folder. So sometimes you gotta look around for it. So, yeah.
thank you for those reminders, for sure. Silent auction going on today. It's every other month. The next one will be in November. Quite a lot of cool stuff out there. And at the end of the meeting, y'all put your money in. There's a little building thing over there on the free table. You get donations there too. On that table, there's a bucket with butterfly milkweed seed. So if you'd like some seed, just put it in a bag, take it with you. So that's the orange one. Looks good, easy to grow. Help yourself. Take all you want. And then also,
John McCormick brought in some of his prints.
right. Yep. So John, right over here, raise your hand, John. He's got takes wonderful photos. We'll see him on. He's going to be doing a program with us too later in the spring. Brought some prints. They're $5 for a print, and the jar over there to sign up. And great prints over there too. Thank you. So talking about programs and things, and we made a list of all our programs for the year and our events. It's on one sheet of paper. And if you looks like this. It's over on the table. Ken is showing us right over there. The ransom copies. So it has every meeting that we have, the date, and our speaker, who they are, events that we have going on, field trips, the dates that we have, some other information. So if you want everything in one sheet, go ahead and pick one up. If somebody doesn't have a computer or just want to post it somewhere, so I need a quick look, pick one up, share it. We'll print some more. They add, change a few things on there as they come up. Christmas bird counts, all that stuff is on one piece. Yeah, all right. Field trips. They had a really great field trip last week. We had 40 speeches, I think, in the walk. Tomorrow, where do you go, Craig? Lower Hull. 8:30. So that'd be great. see that some of the birds are coming through. You know, we're starting to get migrants and warblers, other things finally. I was up in Wisconsin and Montana the last about 3 weeks. Well, very, very few things. I got home, took a short walk. I was out 5 minutes. I saw more migrants and warblers than I did in 3 weeks of northern Wisconsin and western Montana. There's not good things out there, but that's the way it was. And, yeah, so with that, I heard a story this morning about Chuck was out at Becker walking the other day out at Riverview Park. Some little girl had her dad was fishing, and she had a red bicycle. Riding this thing around with that bicycle with a hummingbird following that bike wherever she went. You know, how hummingbirds can be attracted towards a red. Remember Francis and I were in Arizona, I think, and he was reading a cereal box and had red on it. Magnificent hummingbird sitting reading right along with him. So what are you seeing out there? You got some sightings and things you would like to share? Yeah, Chris.
Black-throated blue warbler.
Wow.
What?
No way, your yard?
You should have called me.
Black-throated blue warbler. Yeah. Did you see it? No. See? That's way cool. Good.
I
Man,
think they're hearing, I'm not sure. There's Connie, hi Connie.
that little
Yeah.
square white thing on the side on it.
Yeah, this guy's actually in Nebraska, or Kansas. Okay.
I was out kayaking in big woods and I saw some little group that
Hey,
went more
I'll go ahead and give you this.
than coloring was.
You're welcome.
And then I realized it was probably a female with 4 juveniles. And Ebert didn't kick it back.
Good.
But the second thing is, I noticed that when you guys were at the big woods, you saw eastern kingbirds. I see eastern kingbirds all the time when I'm kayaking. All the time. Why does Ebert say it's infrequent? Every time I put it in, they, flag it as infrequent. It's not infrequent.
Yeah. You're sure. Eastern, not west. Yeah.
Only Eastern comes up when I
Yeah,
put big
yeah.
woods
I don't
as the
know.
venue.
We get these messages every now and then. The good thing about somebody's looking, and sometimes it's a timing. It should be gone and they're not, But we're still seeing movement. It's a little ducklings, just late, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't put things in Ebert.
I do it.
Yeah,
It just seemed odd,
it is, yeah.
especially if, the official groups that didn't lead
We
to
put it on. But this, chimney sweeping, they told me that for Iowa. This year, we had. Moved up into August this year. And we had all that around chimney sweeps that was 99 going up. I think there's still some that are showing up, but we have 15. It was 15 people show up for that Wednesday night. During last week.
Anything else? One more event coming up on Cattle Congress on the 21st. There's a youth fest going on in the Ag Building. And they're gonna have things for family and for kids to do. And we're involved in that. We'll have a booth. So we'll have some educational things and things for the kids to do. Families with that with birds. I guess they got ROTC, they got master gardeners, all kinds of things. If you happen to go out to Cattle Congress, check that booth out. We have something different for that fair. Anything else that anybody has to share for the group? Yes.
Had at our bird bath, we had a left for all of a sudden that workers. And the ones that were sheriff were pre-red starts. And there was some obvious warblers that were not the script. I always had trouble with them.
Is your water feature moving? Does it have like squirting water?
It moves a lot at night when the raccoons get it. But no, it's one that's carved out a big block of limestone. And, we had to fill it up. The deer drink out of it once in a while. Raccoons splash in the furs. Lately, it's just been going wild, splash in the water.
It's dry around here, you know.
Yeah, I suppose. But we got 2 water things out. We got tons of hop switches.
Different subject, I would like to tax the price of public food. I heard there is. I know.
Dirty raccoon feet.
I heard different things, but I just want to make sure.
Any advice? Might get like a fungus growing in there, so I guess the thing I do is just lay it all with a brush, scrub it down. It's built up like it's. Wash it, like we do at our bird feeders anyway. Wash the salt and water every now and then. I have a coworker called Pork Chop. Where he gets his food, I don't know, he comes to my bird bath and brings pork chops, chicken legs, all this stuff, and then leaves it.
Yeah,
It's, you know,
I've used white vinegar,
white vinegar.
to get like algae and things out, and then just scrubbed it really good.
Hey, Tom, a little bit with the subject, but been out to Grand Canyon a couple of times myself and really intrigued with it. I just finished the book. I was telling a couple of times earlier. I just finished the book about 2 or 3 weeks ago by called Alien Worlds.
That's not the Grand Canyon.
Oh, no,
That's not it.
sorry about that. These 2 guys traveled the length of the Grand Canyon. There's only been a couple of them that have done that. And there's a really good book out. Walk in the Park.
That's very good.
I'm gonna talk about it this week. Okay. That is an excellent book. And by the way, Alien World is an excellent book on
Fantastic.
talks about termites.
So how many have been to the Grand Canyon? Wow. How many want to go to the Grand Canyon? That's on my list. We can't wait. We're glad that Bob could be here. Bob Thurman, he's got stories and photos on the Grand Canyon. Grew up on a dairy farm. Been to 48 states, 5 Canadian provinces, Mexico, Singapore, and wherever he stops, you can guarantee he's going to be outside, hiking, walking, getting to know the landscapes and those kind of things. Our kind of guy, you know, we get out. He also enjoys geocaching, hunting, and about anything that you can do with outdoors. So without further ado, I want to welcome Bob Thurman, and I'm excited to have him here to teach us about the Grand Canyon. I'm going one of these days.
Okay, this is working, isn't it? Yep, I can put myself in there. So, let's get this started here. I should, so now I should go. There, is that better? Okay. First thing I need to do is turn on the Zoom meeting. Okay, is that working okay back for you? You see now on the Zoom meeting? Okay, as you said, my name is Bob Thurman. I live out by Dunkerton, Dewar, and I'm actually up to 49 states. I haven't been to Hawaii yet. That's on my bucket list to do. But today we're going to be talking about the Grand Canyon. As I saw here, a lot of folks have been to the Grand Canyon. Just a little bit about the Grand Canyon. 1.2 million acres. It's 277 miles long. Average is about 10 miles wide. It's 18 miles at the widest. Now, going back to this book that he talked about, Kevin Federko and Pete McBride, these guys walked the long way. So the river is 277 miles. For them to walk, right? Yeah, I got that. Hold on here. How about if I push the share button?
The choice to share audio I saw.
Okay. Am I still in the meeting? Okay. We'll go with that. Oh. Okay, as I talked about here, 277 miles along the river. When these guys hiked it, it was about 750 miles. Because you can't hike right along the river. They also have a very interesting, they did the video that they did for this. Pete McBride's a videographer, and he shot video for National Geographic. They've got some YouTube stuff on there that is amazing. But they started out, they were thinking, okay, let's get after this. They were in there like 7 days, and they hauled out. The other 3 they were with kept going. These guys were literally about dead after 7 days, but they went back and they kept doing it. They section hiked it, so they would do a couple 100 miles here, 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 and here. So it's kind of crazy. But again, 277 miles. Average is 4,000 feet deep. Some places it's a little over 6,000 feet deep. Formed over 3 million years. Possibly it started forming about 70 million years ago. However, there's really no clear absolute way this is how the Grand Canyon formed. There's just lots of theories. The leading one is that, okay, there was a big waterfall and then it just kind of kept walking back. Bonneville Salt Flats at one time was a big lake. That lake broke, dumped down there, washed a lot of it. On average, the Colorado River erodes about the width of a piece of paper every year. So it takes a little while to do that. The rocks in the Grand Canyon reveal about 40% of the Earth's history. Vishnu schist, which is at the very bottom of the canyon, is 1.75 billion years old. That's some old rocks. Dinosaur fossils never have been found in the Grand Canyon. They found tracks, they found all kinds of other fossils, but absolutely they found no dinosaur fossils in the Grand Canyon. People have lived in this area for about 12,000 years. The various different Native American tribes moved in and out. Became a national monument January 11, 2008, national park in 1919. It actually was expanded in 1976, I believe it was. So it actually goes a lot bigger than initially was. Temperature ranges: Inner Canyon, 110 degrees during the summer, -23 up in the North Rim. So there's your average ranges: South Rim, North Rim. North Rim is about 1,000 feet higher than the South Rim. Okay. Inner Canyon, this is roughly, that's where Phantom Ranch is, and that's roughly the same elevation as Phoenix, Arizona. So if you like heat, go there in the summer. But it is nasty. North Rim average is about 142 inches of snow. Record was 272. South Rim gets 58, less than 1 inch of Phantom Ranch. Okay. 5 of the 7 different life zones in North America are actually present in the Grand Canyon, and you will go through those as you go across it. 3 of the 4 desert types in North America are also in the Grand Canyon. It's equivalent to traveling from Mexico to Canada with the life zones that you get into. Now, getting across the Grand Canyon, the hike I did was from south to north. Okay, and that's 11.46 miles straight across. Not a big deal, right?
Yeah, sure.
Little difference here, because if you notice all these little squigglies on here, you got to go back and forth and up and down and whatever else. And this is our starting point on here. What we're going to eventually do is get to here. So you see, it's not just I'm not a condor, I can't fly across the canyon, but here's where we're going to hike. I did this in a day. Now, why? And I was exhausted when I got done, but it was amazing. And there's a little bit of up and down in the canyon. So you start on the south rim at about 7,200 feet. You cross the river at about 2,200 feet. And then on the North Cape Bound trailhead, when you get out, you're back up to about 8,200 feet. So you got to go down and back up. The general rule is down is optional, up is mandatory. You go down, you got to get yourself back up. Average visit to the Grand Canyon, there's 6 million people visit the Grand Canyon a year. The average minute is 13 minutes of people on the rim going. And I did that. And it is amazing. It is amazing to see that. Less than 1% of the visitors actually hike rim to rim. And also in talking about Kevin Federico's book there have been, I think he mentioned 13 people have actually done the transect all the way through continuous. More people have been on the moon than have done that. There's been a total of 30 total that have section hiked. So not a whole lot of people have gone that. A lot more people do it this way. Here's the group. That's me on this side over here, my brother, his wife, and then their 2 friends from Minneapolis. That's the group when we started out. I got the times of everything right down here in the corner. So we're at the South Kaibab trailhead, 7,200 feet at 5 in the morning. Notice everybody has their little headlights on because it's dark. Okay. This is what it looked like when we started out. Okay. Now, the one thing that was kind of interesting, you can see a little smudge over on this side, is the moon was out. It was a full moon. And it was almost like you're in a cartoon, like it was animated, just what you're seeing out there. The other thing that I laughed is when you look down the trail, everybody had their headlights on. The first thing I thought about was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, going to the mines in the morning. That's what it looked like, but it was very dark. It was about 40 degrees when we started. So yeah, it was chilly, but you warmed up very quickly. This is a daylight picture of what I was going down. And I'm glad I didn't see that. I'm glad it was dark. Okay. But you can see up and down. These little guys here, I hate these. These are what I would call these donkey steps. Normal step in your house is about 8 inches by 8 inches. These are built for donkeys and horses, okay, which is up about 12 inches and about 24 inches. Okay. And that, what's that?
Hard on your knees or?
Hard on your entire body. Okay. But the problem I had is I had my hiking pole. What I was doing, I was stepping up with this foot and walk with this one, step with this one. And on the heading up the North Rim, for some reason, this leg started to cramp up, and I figured out that's what I was doing, so I switched. Then this one started to cramp. And then I started alternating. And I got to a point where I was literally, I've got a picture where I was laying on my back in the middle of the trail, waiting for my legs to decide to go cramp. I was hydrated, I had electrolytes, I was taking in everything like you should. But going down, yes, it's hard work. However, it's easier than going up. Cedar Ridge was our first stop, and we're 1.4 miles in, 6,600 feet, so we've actually come down quite a ways off the rim already. And you can see it's dark. This was a pretty cool picture here. Full moon, Venus right down below. And like I said, it made the whole thing almost seem like a cartoon when we started out. 6:11, or this is getting into that, they call it the golden hour, right? The half hour before sunrise. And you can see all of the different shadings and the colors and the texture. And to be in the canyon when the sun's starting to come up, to me, that was the most amazing part of this experience. It was just absolutely, yeah, walk around with your mouth open because there's so much to see. But just seeing even there, and again, the pictures don't even do it justice. This is looking to the west, and again, about the same time there. And obviously you can see all the colors everywhere, the various different layers and you know, the textures and everything in there. There's what I looked like 2 miles in, or 2.5 miles in, 6:11. Obviously we're working up a sweat already. So, neat little cave here I found. I didn't find it, I just noticed it on one of my pictures. But again, I thought that was very interesting to see this stuff. You know, there's so much to see. Continuing on down, again, this is looking off to the east. We kind of start to see the sun come up on the horizon. Kept going down. Now we're at 4.4 miles. Okay, and where we are here now. So here was Cedar Ridge right here. Here is the tip-off. Now what we've done, and it's kind of interesting, the South Kaibab Trail actually goes out on a ridge, and then you go down. There's a Bright Angel Trail, it's a little ways over, we'll look at that here in a little bit. It actually goes up a canyon, then goes up. You know, so different between a ridge and a canyon trail. But this is the first place where you can see the Colorado River, and you can hear it. And I'm still about 3 miles away from it. But you see, we're down under 4,000 feet. This is looking down the other side. This is what I got to go down now. Okay, another whole setup there. This is coming off of Skeleton Point, off of O'Neill Butte. And just switch back to all over the place. There's also mule trains going there. If a mule train comes along, if you're hiking, you step off to the side, you stand there, and you let the mule train go by. Trail etiquette, somebody coming up, they've got the right of way. Let them go. They're working hard. Now on South Kaibab Trail, there's no water from the top down to the bottom. You have to carry your own water. So, and it's steeper. It's only about 7 miles, whereas Bright Angel is about 9.5 miles. And there's about 4 water stops. So most people go up Bright Angel. They go down South Kaibab. That's what we do. Here you can see the sun is just barely starting to come up. And you can see it over on the west rim of the canyon. It's catching the very tops there. And to me, that was just absolutely gorgeous. Here's another picture of the moon. And another interesting book that I got afterwards, but I heard about this, was Hiking the Grand Canyon's Geology. Really, geology buffs? Interesting book. I got this afterwards, but I had read about this arch on the South Kaibab Trail, and I looked for it, and I didn't find it. I was disappointed. And I was doing this presentation for about the 3rd time, and I said, "What is that little blue spot?" I got a picture of it. I didn't know it. Okay, so that's the arch going down there. And actually, I was way up there, pretty close to it. But again, I don't know if it was wrong angle, if I just didn't look right or whatever. But that's an arch way at the top of O'Neill Butte.
What's that arch called?
I'm not sure what its name is, but it's an arch, definitely an arch. This is where I came down off, and those switchbacks you saw. That picture that I took was literally right from up there, going down this way. You can see into the canyon. This is where we had to hike down. And it goes clear here. You can see the trail coming across. Back over here. There's somebody over there. Tonto Trail, which goes another, it's one of the transcript trails that goes east and west, intersects here. And some people will go down South Kaibab, Tonto, over to Bright Angel. People have died doing that. Okay. Anybody going to the canyon, please be careful. It's a dangerous place. Average of 12 to 15 people die in the canyon every year. This is from heart attacks, from falling off the cliffs, whatever else. They actually pulled some guy that was on the raft. He fell off on the 9th, and they found him today, 10 miles downstream. So be very careful. They also tell you, do not wade in the Colorado River because the current there is strong enough it can take you. Just, oh, you don't even know. I didn't, you know. Right Angel Creek is different, but be very careful. You know, one wrong foot, slip, whatever else. These trails I was on were very well developed. You can see the trails, and they were very well maintained. But if you go off the trail, if you have an interest in how to die in the canyon, Over the Edge, Death in the Canyon. What these people did is they did a study of how people died in the canyon. Okay? And it seems morbid when you first read about it. However, to me, this was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Because, you know, if you want to die in the canyon, do two things. Go in by yourself, go off the trail. Hopefully somebody will find your body. There have been cases, yeah, where, you know, people have fallen off a cliff, jumped off a cliff, and this kind of stuff on there. But that's a very interesting study on what happened. There's cases where two people were in a tent at a campground. Rock comes down, one person gets smashed, the other person scratched. So it's just, it's a very dangerous place, but they go into a lot of research. Okay. How many people, there's rattlesnakes in there. How many people have died from rattlesnake bites or venomous insects? None, exactly. The rattlesnakes in the Grand Canyon, it's a pink rattlesnake, and they've evolved to hunt mice and rats. So the venom is not that powerful. If you get bitten by one, yeah, you're gonna hurt, and it's gonna not be a good time. But nobody's ever died from it. So we're off down the trail again, and you can see the trails, as I mentioned, very well defined. But there are so many different formations. Here's my brother and his wife walking here, and it's like, okay, is that rock gonna fall? You never know. It may have been sitting there for millions of years, and you never know. But it's just, there's so much stuff, even this little pile of rocks down here. Somebody stacked them there, but that's just the way that they ended up. Kept moving down here. Now, take notice of this little rock here. It's about the size of a house. Okay. But you can also see we're starting to hit some more switchbacks. Okay, and at this point we're above. We're a little ways off the river. We're getting close there. 7:10 or 7:40, so we've been at it for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now, looking back up, that rock that I pointed out, there it is. That first picture is taken from up there. There are at least 8 people in this picture. Okay. You can see there's 4 right there. There's another one there. There's one there. There's one over here. But this is a whole series of switchbacks to get down closer to the river. It's just a break in the cliff. That's where they came down. That's where the trail was. And you think, hey, I'm making progress, and then you look down, and there you got a lot more. Getting close to the river, here's the actual Colorado River. You can see there's a raft down here from a group that's coming through. Here's the Black Bridge that I'm going to cross, and then you can see the trail going on the other side. As you get down there, before you go across that bridge, you get this pretty cool little tunnel. And then on the other side, there's looking back. So those switchbacks that I showed you come down through here, then they come over here, and then they come down this face, and then you turn and then come back this way. And now I've crossed the river. So that's the first part of the journey. 6.6 miles and down, our elevation here, 2,200 feet, yes, sir.
In the tunnel, is that considerably cooler than
The tunnel there is probably not any longer than like between those 2 poles. It's just, they punched a hole through there so they could build the bridge. So, but there is shade there at least.
What time of year did you do that?
October 11th. And we did it that time of year, obviously the summertime. I've seen people that have done video hiked it in the wintertime. I ain't doing that. In the spring, you get monsoon season, so you have to be much more cautious because of flash flooding. You can have a snow or a rain cloud up here, no place close to you, and it can fill that canyon and there's nothing to catch it and it just shoots through. You hear, that's one of the rules. If you hear a rumbling noise, you start going up. Because it's water coming down, but it's also boulders and rocks and trees and anything else. And that's actually what builds all these canyons, is that's how it erodes them. But it's stuff coming down there. There's the people that have been caught in flash floods, and they are literally, their clothes are ripped off, their bodies are literally destroyed. So you don't want to do that. No, I don't, not for sure. So, and they've got this one. This is the Black Bridge. There's another one down a couple miles called the Silver Bridge. And that one takes you up the Bright Angel Trail. So there's two bridges at the bottom. This is looking back, and I'm at the Bright Angel Campground, so I'm 7 miles from the start. I'm 2,400 feet. You can see the bridge here. And this is Bright Angel Creek. And we'll be following that up on our journey. So far what we've done, South Kaibab Trail, we started at 7,200 feet. Now we're in Bright Angel campground, we're 2,450, so I'm down 4,780 feet, plus I'm going 7 miles, 3 hours and 27 minutes. Gateway Arch, Eiffel Tower, just kind of as a reference, what should be comparing to. So 7 miles, 3 hours, 27 minutes, and I drank 3 liters of water on the way back. I used a Camelback. This is the pack that I used, and I don't know if you're familiar, there's a bladder that you put in here. And I can hold 3 liters of water, which is about 6 pounds. So that's what I use. It's a water bottle. I like this pack too because I can take parts and pieces off of it. I have my GPS up there. You know, this is just very comfortable for me to use. I can adapt it what I wanted to use. But anytime I found water, it's got filled up. I didn't want to top it. Because remember, you're in the desert. This is Phantom Ranch at the bottom. And I believe that was actually built, I want to say, in about 1920 something or another after it became out there. But it's a really cool ranch. You can try to get, there's a dorm down there. And it's like, it was like 16 men, 16 women. It's a lottery. You basically put your name in and hopefully if they pull up, you know, and you can see down there for a couple of days. But the lottery opens up a year ahead of time. So, and you're very lucky to get a spot down there. Same way with Bright Angel campground. This is the pen where the donkeys stage when they come down there, because that's how everything gets back and forth down to Phantom Ranch. It is by mule train. You can ride a mule down, but again, waiting list is about a year to get on there. So an interesting way to do it. But again, I started at 5 in the morning and now it's just about 9 o'clock in the morning. One thing that I did notice, this is a mule deer. They didn't see me as a predator. They weren't scared of me. Right at that other corral, there was a doe and a couple of fawns, and they were just like, yeah, hanging out. The other thing that's interesting here, see this pipe? That's how all the water gets to the south rim. There's a place on the trail that we'll go by, we'll see that I've got some pictures of it, called Roaring Springs. And there's water comes out. They have actually put a cabin there, or basically like a shed, catches water, and basically run a pipe under the trail. So gravity feeds it most of the way up to the south rim, and then back up to the north rim. They pump it back up there. That's where all the water for the Grand Canyon, all the hotels and everything on the south rim and north rim comes from. So that's it.
There's a deer on you?
Oh yeah.
Where?
Right there. See him?
Why did he's got a big tail?
He's a younger buck. He was about a 3 point. You know, around here we just chew him back. You know, but like I said, he didn't care. I was like from maybe away from that deer. He didn't care. But he didn't see me as a predator. So, yeah, there are lots of animals in the Grand Canyon. There's mountain lions. I don't. There's bears on the north rim, but there's scorpions and all kinds of other stuff in there too. Rabbits, bugs, all kinds of stuff. So now we're heading out of Phantom Ranch, or from Phantom Ranch. I mentioned the Vishnu schist. You see these rocks kind of going up and down versus vertical? That's Vishnu schist. And that's some of the oldest exposed rock in the world. And like I said, approximately 1.7 billion years old. It's kind of tough to see that with there, but again, this is the trail. As I said, the trails are very well maintained. And yeah, I had a map, I had a compass, and I had a GPS and all that. I keep forgetting to mark it here. But anyway, we crossed the river right there. And here is Phantom Ranch right there. And keep an eye on where we're going. Next section that we're going into is referred to as, well, just kind of give you an idea here. Here are the layers in the Grand Canyon, and these are all these layers and stuff on here. Another interesting thing is you see some of them are vertical, some are there. These are the more sturdy rocks. So this is the Coconino sandstone, and it's almost vertical. Same way with the red wall limestone. You see that there's shales here that tend to smash, just basically erode more easily. There's the Vishnu schist here at the bottom. The other thing that's interesting, you see this guy called the Great Unconformity. You look at these bottom rocks, they're approximately 740 million years old. Okay. You look at this layer right on top of it, it's 525 million years old. So there's about 240 million years missing. It's like, what happened to that? And the best theory is that, okay, here are these rocks here, and stuff accumulated on top of them. And it eroded back down, and then it started coming back up. That's the best guess. But it's interesting to see that the rest of these, you can see where one transitions. At one time, this area was a huge desert. And that's what the sandstone was. The limestone was a shallow sea. And it's actually red because of these rocks above it have a lot of iron ore in it, and it's leached down over the years and turned them red. Limestone we see around here is white. Now we're getting into what's called the box. So we've got Bright Angel Creek coming along here, and a lot of places in the canyon in this section, that would be one wall there, and maybe over to that wall. That's as wide as what's there. Plus you had a creek and a trail. And it was anywhere from a couple hundred feet to a couple thousand feet straight up. Through this section, my GPS lost connection to the satellites. I couldn't see anything. Okay. And you see the sun hasn't even rose on this area. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. As you keep going, again, this is the box, and again, you can see we've got some prickly pear cactus on the side there. But again, we're at roughly the same level, the same elevation as Phoenix, Arizona. So the environment is very similar to Phoenix in this area. See this little pipe here? I mentioned that pipeline. What they had done is when they built the trail, they put the pipeline in the trail. This is an access point for the there. They also put these bridges in. There's about 4 or 5 bridges that you cross. Before they did that, there were about 14 places where you had to cross Bright Angel Creek. But this is a very solid, sturdy bridge. You know, that's my brother and as we're going through there. And again, getting into the box. And again, this really typifies what the box looks like. And again, 9:30 in the morning, sun still has not come up to this area. This is looking back at one spot, and you can see around the corner, looking back the other way. It's like, okay, where does this go to? Okay, what actually happens is you've got the trail comes here, and then it cuts back that way. But gotta keep it. Finally, it does start to, you see it's starting to open up here a little bit. And this is about 10:30 in the morning now. And we're finally out of the box. Then we get into a section called the frying pan. You have to get through the frying pan before noon when you're doing this hiking, because the temperatures here will easily be above 110, And you can see what's happening is it's flattening out, it's opening up, there's virtually no shade, it's dry, sand, dirt, and there's not a whole lot of water. Okay, you've got a creek that you can get stuff out of if you needed to, but that's why I kept my back filled with water and empty. So. And again, another picture, you can see I found a shady spot, taking a break. But this is just, that's what you saw for the next couple of miles. We're about 11 o'clock in the morning here. This is what's called the Dam Hill. And what had happened is there was a landslide, I don't know how many million years ago, but it actually dammed up right in the creek. And then right in the creek on the side of it, over top is the road. So some people spell it without the N, the end of the dam. When you hike up it, you need the N. Because if you look, it is just, there's about 3 switchbacks coming up on there. Again, it's hot, it's dry, it's also very steep. And this was one of those sections where I would hike 20, 30 yards and I would stop and rest. Hike, rest, hike, rest, because it was just that hot and that nasty. And that was, again, before that. This is looking back. What's that?
Making it sound pretty treacherous.
It is. Why I did it, I don't know. It was an interesting adventure. See, we were with a group and also I had a walkie-talkie, so we could talk to each other, even we might have been a couple miles apart. So we had that group of 5, we kept in contact with each other almost constantly.
If you didn't stay together.
No, you hike at your own pace. I'm not gonna try to keep up with somebody else or have somebody come with me. I'm gonna hike at my own pace. And that's what you want to do. Especially in this because the trails are very well defined. Okay. And then we said, okay, we're gonna meet again at the Donald Trail Conjunction, at Bright Angel Campground, at Phantom Ranch, next one we're coming up to is Cottonwood Campground. So we kept in touch with each other as we went through. I remember getting to here and I just got on the radio. It's like, yeah, I found the damn hill. But yeah, this one was brutal. This one was just nasty. Because you were kind of making pretty good time and then you hit this and you go, and we're at 3,600 feet. So we really haven't climbed that much out of the center of the canyon yet, but we're starting to get that elevation. This was just a cool little place, came around. It's called Wall Creek. And after you get off the damn hill, this was just, exactly. It was a beautiful little oasis. I sat there and realistically, this place probably was not any wider than that section right there. It was shaded, you had cool water running through there, you had a nice little waterfall behind there. Took my bandana and wiped down and whatever else, but I knew I was getting close to Cottonwood Campground. That's where we're stopping. And now we're getting close to Cottonwood Campground. This is looking back. Cottonwood Campground is just in front. This is looking back to where I just closed. And again, this is in Cottonwood Campground, lots of rocks and stuff on there. People camp here. I didn't get a good picture of Cottonwood Campground, but I found this one online. So here's the trail here that you come up. There's composting toilets and another toilet here. The campground is back over here. But the neat thing about this is over here under this tree, you can go and you can take your boots off, take your shirt off, and get in the creek because it's hot and this water is like 52 degrees coming. It was so cold it hurt, and man, did it feel good. It absolutely felt wonderful. We spent lunch here, and like I said, this is about 2 o'clock. So we basically spent about an hour each resting. So,
Is the water that great?
I wouldn't because there's beavers in the area, and they like to poop in the water, and that fills the water with Giardia. I had water purification tablets if I needed them, but there were so many stops on the trail that had water. So I didn't need, but I had that. If I go out on something like that, I'll always take either water purification tablets, water filter. I also had a little metal cup and about 18 ways to start fire. I can boil it if I needed to.
So you said there was water, but there's a little faucet?
Yep. Yeah. This one right here, you can see some people sitting around here. There's a faucet there. So there's potable water, and this is all coming off of
Scattered places there would be.
well, at the main like campground here. So here, you filled up at Phantom Ranch. Okay. And next place was Cottonwood Campground. So, and that's why, like I said, 3 liters, I just kept filling that thing up. But like I said, a lot of times it was getting empty. And you suck on that tube and go. Right. That's. This is when we're starting back out. So we're heading out about 2:30 and we're on the North Dab Trail now. That's my brother and sister in front of me. So we're just off and on. They're running, we're off and walking. And you meet, the neat thing about it is after you get about a mile off any of the rims, you're constantly checking on the people that you meet or you come across. Are you doing okay? You got plenty of water? And you're checking with people. If you see somebody in trouble, you're writing down their name. Okay, do we need to contact somebody? You know, because people just care about each other down there. Further up the canyon, here's the trail right here. And now we're starting to climb and starting to make the way up out to the north rim. 3:30 in the afternoon. My sister-in-law again, she was in front of me. But again, you just had these boulders all over the place, and so they cleared the trail through there. And again, a very well-maintained trail, but it was so interesting to see all the different rocks and geologic formations as you went through. This is looking across, and I mentioned Roaring Springs. There is Roaring Springs here. What happens is it comes out the bottom of this layer, and we're a good probably half a mile across this canyon. You could hear it roaring. And that's all the water for Bright Angel Creek. They capture water for there, and then it goes to the north rim and to the south rim to the Pine. And just before you get here, there's a pump house where it catches it and then pumps it back up to the north rim, and then gravity flow to the south rim until they have to pump it up to them. So we're at about 5,500 or 5,200 feet here. So they've got to pump it up the next 2,000 feet.
How do they fuel that?
What's that?
How do they fuel that?
It's electric pumps.
Electric.
There's
So they have
lines.
electric lines coming
Yeah.
down.
And there's a couple places in there, and I skipped over those. But there's poles still down there from the Trans Canyon Telegraph and all that type of stuff still in there. So it's just interesting stuff. Here's a better picture. And they do have, there's a little shack up here that they use to catch, or that's where the water stuff is. And then the pipelines come down through the canyon. You see that's just, they've got it buried. You don't see it. And that's what's neat about this area is most of the stuff that is there is very unobtrusive. This is the way it was thousands of years ago. Here's another picture up a little bit further, looking back at, I believe right here is where it's coming down, where it's going. But again, just a gorgeous picture. You can see the trees and stuff up over the top. This was looking across, and again, this is all eroded by water. And to me, that was just fascinating. And again, that was across the canyon from where we were. This was moment. I came around the corner, and again, this is, you know, you can tell there's been millions of years of water coming down there, but this was just a beautiful area. I mentioned laying on my back in the middle of the trail. That happened. Oh, right there.
You said nice view.
What's that?
You had a nice view.
Yeah, I was thinking push me off. But that section that we just saw looking up this trail, and you see it's cut into the side. And then about right over here, it turns around and then comes back around here. This is the trail that I was standing in when I took that picture. I couldn't quite reach the ceiling. Okay. I went like this hand was pretty much over the edge. There's a whole lot of nothing down there. And this was, you know, for donkeys to use this and whatever else that people use it as well. But that's cut into some of the harder rock there. You know, that rock. More donkey steps. Yay, donkey steps. But they work. Yeah, they function. And again, another just gorgeous formation on the other side. Heading now to what's called the Red Wall Bridge, right down here. But whoever designed this, I firmly believe that they should be beat severely with a frozen cart. Because as you can see, I'm looking way down on that bridge. To get to that bridge, You go up one side, about 250 feet above the bridge, and then you go down, you go across the bridge, and guess what? So you work switchbacks all the way up to here. You can see the trail coming across there. Then you get to this break, and then switchback, 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 switchback. It's the only way they can build that bridge. So it was very, but, and again, you look at it, it was like, holy moly. Then you think, wow, I'm way above this bridge. The other interesting thing here is, getting away from my map here.
What's that opens it over water?
Canyon, so you don't have to go all the way down into the canyon. Okay, so here was Cottonwood Campground. Here's the pump house, right here. Here's the Red Wall Bridge. Right about here. Now at this point, there's the North Rim. We're only about 3/4 of a mile away from it. However, you're about 3,000 feet below. So it's going to take a little bit of a climb to get back at. Here's where it's really getting up to 6,000 feet. So I've got another 2,200 feet to get out of the canyon, plus 19 miles. So I've got a few more miles to go here. Here's the Red Wall Bridge. Okay, 3.1 miles left, and then it's 6,000 feet. So again, we went from 62 back down to 6,000 feet. I'm looking pretty chipper right there. Yeah, I was just like, okay, fine, let's get this over. But it was very amazing to see this. This is Red Wall limestone, and basically a shear cliff. And the only way that they could get down into the canyon with the Native Americans in it, they found like this entire canyon is actually a fault line. I've got a picture I can show you that at the end here. This shows where this fault line is, but that's between the Bright Angel Creek eroding stuff and the natural movement of the fault line there. That's how that was broken to the point where they can make a trail. Here I'm looking back down. Here's Red Wall Canyon Bridge right here. And you can see the trail comes here, loops down underneath. I took that picture from about here. Comes across the top here. And then you do switchbacks back and forth, and actually this is at the bottom. It actually moves back all the way over here and then down. Then you come across. Now you can see some of the switchbacks here. So you climb this thing here, then you cut across here, actually right about there, and then you come up to here. So, fun little adventure. But again, that's just looking back at the Red Wall Bridge. And when you're on the bridge, it seems like this is a good sized bridge. Too big. But again, climbing away. This is probably one of the last pictures I had taken. The light was going. I had my camera, but my camera didn't really do a good job of taking pictures in the dark. But this is just looking back down the canyon and again getting into that golden hour where you can see the shading and everything else in the canyon. This is a stock picture looking back, and again, Red Wall Bridge is kind of right around that corner, but that gives you kind of a feel for all of the switchbacks to climb up through there, through that break in the Red Wall limestone. When I was back there in 2013, one of those sections, about 50 feet of it, washed out and collapsed. And they were in the process of repairing it, but they had a chain to across it. So to get across, you got down there and you basically had to hold on to the chain and go across there. I had missed that experience. This is Supai Tunnel, another little tunnel. And again, yeah, it would be shade in there, but it's not a cave or anything like that. But this would just cut in here, and on the other side there's more water. Stick it where you can fill your backpack and bottles, whatever. And again, like I said, I've got about 1.7 miles left. This is what the trail looks like. Very well defined. However, you've got rocks, you've got breaks here. You've got rocks, you've got roots, you've got dirt and sand and whatever else is stuff on there too. I'd also discovered, and I didn't realize this until I was reading Kevin Federico's book. When you're walking, your calves will actually pump blood. It's sometimes referred to as your second heart. I didn't realize that. So as you're walking, especially if you're climbing, they can track if you push blood out of your legs up in your heart, and up into the rest of your body. And I couldn't figure out what was happening because I would stop to rest. And I would get lightheaded to the point where I'd almost pass out. It's like, what's going on? You know, but no, it's a natural phenomenon. But again, I was to the point here where I had gone through the stage where my legs cramped up, and now it was like, okay, just keep moving. And if I felt my legs start to cramp, I would stop. And I didn't want to sit down because I knew if I took the weight off my legs, they would just tie me knots. So I just kept standing, rest, keep moving. And again, I was drinking a lot of water, T2 Gatorade, we had goo, which is a sugar type of, you know, it's a glucose that digest, gets in your system very quickly. Peanut butter sandwiches don't rot, you know, so, but also we were constantly eating. I had jerky, which is high protein, but you need a lot of water to help digest that. But salty snacks, you just kept stuff. Part of when I was researching this is I read an article that the military had done, and they said, okay, how far can somebody march? And they found that a GI could march approximately 16 miles without stopping if they were in top physical condition carrying a pack. Then they went further and said, hey, what if we stop once? They found out that, okay, if the same GI, or the same group of GIs would stop once an hour and rest 5-10 minutes, literally sit down, rest, let your body keep up. They could actually keep hiking until sleep deprivation kicked in. They started seeing aliens and stuff like that. And that's literally what I did. Is I said, okay, every hour I'm going to find a shady spot, I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to drink water, I'm going to drink Gatorade, I'm going to have a snack, and just keep stuff flowing in there. And that's how I do that. But again, we're getting up to the very end here. This was in 2013 when I was there. And there's a couple of these guys were marathon runners from Minneapolis. They were the first ones to get out of the canyon. I had actually driven around and I met them over there. This is again what the trail looks like. Very rough, but again, it's very well defined. But again, we're getting into the pine trees. And this is a nice little gap in the trees. You can look back down the canyon and see what's going on there. Here's the trailhead. And this, I got out at 8:30 in the morning, about 8:36 in the evening. So I started at 5 in the morning and out at 8:36 at night. This is the next morning. And the joke is you could tell anybody that hiked it on the North Rim because they were doing the kaidab show. If they were moving at all. So South Kaidab Trail, 7 miles, North Kaidab Trail, 14 miles. There's your elevation changes. According to my GPS, I covered 23.4 miles. Took me 15 hours and 36 minutes. Moving time, 10.5 hours, which basically is about 2.2 miles an hour, which is not fast, but the fact that I was going downhill and uphill, I was happy with that. And I drank 14 to 16 liters of water. So that guy holds 3. I was filling that up. The other thing that's interesting is it's so dry out there. You know, like around here, you're outside doing something and you sweat. Out there, you look down and say, why are my arms all white? It's because it's evaporating as you sweat. But you have to keep that water going into your system, the electrolytes going into the system, food going into the system, and everything else as you go through. This is from the North Rim, Yankee Point. This is where I came down. And then Bright Angel actually goes up here. Here is Bright Angel Trailhead. This is the other one going there. So you can see this is the difference between a ridge trail and a canyon trail. The other thing that's interesting here is I mentioned Bright Angel Fall. This is the Coconino Sandstone. Notice this little break here. That is the Bright Angel Fall. It's about 150 feet difference between there. And that's what the Native Americans at the time would do. During the summer, during the summer, they would live up on the top where it's cool. When the snow would start coming in, they had found a path and they would come down to, it used to be called Indian Gardens, right down here, but now it's called Havasupai Gardens. And they would live down there. So each year they would go back and forth. And this was actually a garden spot there in the places, campground there now. This was kind of interesting. This is the temple. And you notice here was a very recent rock slide. Broken off there. That was in 2011. That's about 3 miles away. So it's back there in 2013. Another big old hunk broke off of there. This whole section here, you can see that? Broke off and decided to fall down. You can see it trailing all the way down into there. That's pretty cool. And again, here's the breakdown. Rich and I mentioned O'Neill View. This is looking back up there. Here's where you went across the bridge, Phantom Ranch, and then you look going back up the other side. A lot more gradual climb until you get to shoot up you go. Since this is the Audubon Society, I thought I'd throw in a few pictures of birds. This is a roadrunner. Now, he was running. I didn't get a good picture of him, but he was just, you know, it reminded me of the cartoon. The guy was going. This, when I first saw him, I identified it as a Western scrub jay, but in 2016, that's actually a Woodhousen scrub jay, and a California scrub jay. They broke them out. They determined there were 2 different species. Okay. You can see he's got some cool little gray across the back here. He hung out at the trailheads and he didn't eat anything to get. And the California convoy. This was a Navajo bridge. I couldn't make out. It was 80 something, but they all have tags on them on their shoulder. I couldn't make out the number on it. Right. Since it was the Audubon Society, I figured I'd throw it some. That's all I've got. Thank you very much. Questions?
Is high out west.
Yes.
How did you prepare?
Not near enough. Yeah, we're at an altitude of about 900 feet in Iowa. The highest elevation is 1,600 feet out in western Iowa. I could do a 10-mile hike here and I'd only get 600 feet of elevation change. When I was training, I actually went out to California. I was traveling a lot with work, and I was at one of my favorite places in the Los Angeles area is Crystal Cove State Park, and then there's El Morro Canyon backcountry behind that. And it's hot, it's dry, and it's up and down, but it's sea level. And training for this, you should train for probably 6 to 8 months or longer. I got a call at the end of July from my brother who I went with and said, hey, would you be interested in hiking the Grand Canyon? We had a couple people cancel out. I'm going, what? So I went out, and at the time, yeah, I could hike 3 or 4 miles. And I went out to El Morro Canyon. I was out there just for work, and I was able to do about 4 or 5 miles. Okay. And so I was training pretty hard. I was hitting it pretty hard. And about 2 weeks before I went to the canyon, I was back out there. And I was able to do a 10-mile hike up through El Morro Canyon, drop my pack and boots at the car, and walked another 2 miles on the beach. But again, that was sea level. Okay. What I did for the second time, I didn't actually do the hike the second time, but part of the training I was doing, I'd go out to Hartman Reserve. And if you would start at the nature center, you go down those steps and then, you know, to the east, and then go back up the other step until it levels off, and then go back down and then up. If you do that 12 times, you get about 1,000 feet of elevation. I was doing that. I found a place. I worked in Cedar Rapids at the time. I found a hill that I could go up, and I could get about 100 feet each time, looping around. So it was just racking up the miles and that type of stuff. Just keep doing it. I didn't know about the donkey steps. Those kicked the butt. I didn't really train as much as I should. I was able to get through it. But if I go back again, yeah, I'm gonna find a ski hill and just hammer it.
Like stage for a day or two to get
Yes,
used
you
to
have to
the
acclimate.
elevation,
Yes. So-
before you started hiking.
Yeah, because I was out there for about 2 days before we hiked. The second time I went in 2013, we were going to hike it, and I actually wanted to do north to south. South to north is harder because you got an extra 1,000 feet going up. I wanted to go north to south just to see it from the other way. But when we were getting ready to start the day before, we'd done just a quick day hike. We'd actually got down there that day, stayed in Flagstaff, and then got up to Grand Canyon. And I've got a benign heart arrhythmia. My mom had it, my grandma had it. And what's weird is when I'm highly stressed, when I'm working out, what my heart will do is thump, 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 skip, thump, thump, thump. And that was kind of being weird. And if you're not 100%, don't risk it. And so the night before, I really wasn't fully acclimated. We had hiked. I was somewhat dehydrated. I just was not feeling 100% the night before. So I said, okay, I'm riding. And then some other stuff came up and I didn't get hiked back. But yeah, you have to acclimate at least a couple of days because, we got a lot more oxygen. At 8,000 feet, now it does make a difference. So, great question. Yes.
First of all, how old were you when you did this?
I was 51. I'm 63.
And then how did you get back from the north rim to the south?
What we did is there was a group of us. So there was that 5 of us, but there was about 10 in our entire group. So there's a group that went before. And what we did is we rented a van, we flown into Phoenix. Met in Phoenix, we drove up, stayed at the Grand Canyon in the hotel. And there was a guy that was basically going to drive around. And so what he did is we had all of our stuff packed. We got our packs. He took us out to the trailhead, dropped us off. He went back and slept a couple hours, and then he loaded all of our stuff into the van. And that's about a 5-hour drive around to the North Rim. It's a beautiful drive, absolutely gorgeous. You go by Vermilion Cliffs, you go across the Navajo Bridge, but it's a long drive. And then he unloaded our stuff. When we had showers and a bed when I got there, so it was like that was gorgeous. But yeah, that's how we stage that. There is a shuttle that goes back and forth, that'll haul your stuff back and forth and haul you back and forth, so you can hike to the north, take the shuttle back, or shuttle to the north and hike back, and different ways like that. We just worked it out this way because there was the 2 girls that you saw that were with us, they had a friend that lived in Phoenix, and he'd done the hike before, and he said, hey, I'll ride for you guys. So he came up with us when we went. So we have to work out the logistics. There's been other times where there's a group start from the north, group start from the south, and as they get together, okay, they meet, they hand off the keys, and then drive back. So you got different ways you can work that kind of stuff out. So, yes, sir.
With testing we were there, we had people. South.
Yeah, and there's people that do rim to rim to rim. They go south to north to south, and they'll run it and whatever else, and it's like, yeah, you're crazy. It literally kicked my butt. I mean, when I got done the first time, it's like, no, I'm not going back in this time. Nope. All right, I don't care. So, yes, sir.
How crowded were the trails? Did you spend much time where you didn't see others?
There's a lot of remote area back there. Usually within a mile, most of the stupidity dissipates. Within that first mile off the rim, especially from the south rim, you see a lot of people in flip-flops. And I got half a bottle of water and this kind of stuff on there. And they go down, because you go down Bright Angel, there's 1.5 mile rest house, there's 3.5 mile rest house. You get water both those places. And they're going downhill. They don't think it's a big deal. When you get down, you're 3 miles in the canyon, and guess what? You've got to go back up. And yeah, that's where people get in trouble. But after you got about a mile off the rim, especially over on South Kaibab going down, everybody that was on there was hiking. They were either going to Phantom Ranch or they were going to the North Rim or going someplace in there. And they were moving. And you would catch up with a group, you would hang with this group for 20 minutes, half an hour. You'd pull ahead of them or they'd pull away from you, and then you'd hike for a while. But there were a lot of times where it was just like, it's also a no-fly zone, so you don't get any airplane noise and that kind of stuff on there. So, sir.
Now, do you deal with shin splints at all of this?
Yeah, because I did my heel raises. We stay here and go up. And I had been hiking enough, like I said, I was doing 10, 12, 14 mile hikes. So I didn't really run into that. And enough of my other body hurt that I didn't know that my shins were hurting. So, any other questions? Anything else?
You wear this big kind of boots.
Yeah, these are keen hiking boots. I like to have something that protects my ankles. Okay. Some people just go in tennis shoes or running shoes or whatever else. I like this because it protects my ankles, helps me keep from rolling an ankle. But also Keen and Merrill are the ones that I prefer. They have a nice wide toe box. And plus I can tighten this up around here, so when you're going down, my toes are not hitting the front. Okay. So what I did is, when I first hiked it, I just happened to find a pair of high-tech hiking boots at the Bargain Cave in Owatonna at Cabela's, and they fit me great, and that's what I hiked it in. But the next time when I was prepping for it, I was in Boise, Idaho, and I went to Cabela's out there, and I spent 2 hours trying on hiking shoes, and Merrill and Keen fit me the best, and that's what I used, and that's what these are. And I wear them all the time. The other thing that I used, and I wear them all the time as well, merino wool hiking socks. They are comfortable. You can get thin ones. They have a nice around the arch to help you on here. They're a little bit of compression and stuff on there too. They whip the water away. So there were times where like the top of my feet would have the water almost running out of them because they were pulling the water up out of my feet. But also I never got any blisters. And this is why. I prefer, these are Gander Mountain. I think they're out of business now. That's the first pair that I got. I got all of them. But this is the actual pair that I wore when I went through there. Darn tough. I like those guys. They're a little bit more expensive, but the neat thing about those, I've worn out a couple pair. You send them an email, they ask for a picture, and then they send you a coupon for any presents. So
Try the alpaca.
the alpaca. So, yeah, these, like I said, I wear these for everything. They're my dress socks and all this type of stuff. So that's over there. Shirt like this, you know, like a dry fit shirt. You know, I had 2 shirts with me. So I just wear cotton hiking pants, you know, hiking shorts. I like to have a lot of pockets, you know, stuff in and whatever. So I carried way too much crap with me. But I figured if I got stuck down there, I had a tarp with me. I had enough stuff I could live for a couple of days down there. I wasn't going to die in the canyon. I didn't want to be a chapter. So
Remember what surprised you?
what's that?
Do you remember what surprised you about how they came out of it?
Just it was an amazing experience seeing the sun come up and actually it's one thing to see it, but like I said, being there in it, you know, touching the rocks and everything else, that to me was amazing. And it was the most physically exhausting thing I'd ever done. So it was absolutely an amazing experience. But I mean, most of the time it's your brain that tells you to quit and you keep going. I was to the point where my legs said, I don't care what your brain's saying, you've been going too far for a while. You know, so, but you learn that. I learned what you know, hey, when I feel my thighs start cramping up, okay, let's take a break for a while and touch your body. Other questions, anything else? I do have a sheet here that's got listed most of the books I've got over here. If anybody would like that, this is a couple other books I wanted to mention. Colin Fletcher, he was one of the first guys to do. This was an interesting book. This was in like 1963. He didn't go across, he went down the canyon, and before that, it was expanded out. Kind of weird though, because about the last 2 months of his hike, he was wearing boots, socks, his pack, his hat, and a smile. Nobody else had. I probably would have wanted a little strategic to replace sunscreen. But so, another very interesting book, Down the Great Unknown. This is by Edward Dolnick. This is about John Wesley Powell. Took 9 guys, 3 boats. And at the time, there was this big white spot on the map. They knew that the Colorado River came in here, and they think this was the Colorado came out here. This talks about it. This is based on internals and everything else. The amazing part of it is he had one arm. He had one arm shot off in the Civil War. He was leading the expedition. Everybody made it through except 3 guys. And literally a day and a half, 2 days before they made it out the end, these guys said, "I've had enough." They were in a canyon. They hiked out. Everybody else made it through. Very interesting book. The other ones I've mentioned there too. Falcon Guide just talks about trails and the different trails and stuff on there too. Geology of the Grand Canyon. I wish I would have had this before I hiked it. Talks a lot more in detail of the geology. It has GPS waypoints, different stuff on there, just to find and look at stuff on there. Kevin Federico's book, I couldn't put that one down. That one was just amazing. And Pete McBride, if you look on YouTube, they've got videos on this, and you know, these guys literally the first 7 days they tried doing this, they almost killed themselves. But there's other times where they've got video, they're walking along, and there's no trails when you're doing the transect. And they're walking along, and it's just like, and he slips on a stone and goes to them. Eventually it splashes in the river. It's like, okay, whatever. It was interesting. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Bob. It was great.